As the ski season is winding down and the temperatures are starting to rise, two of my other favorite hobbies are starting to awaken. It always feels great returning to the mountains and trying to hike to the top of them, but another fantastic summertime activity is visiting theme and amusement parks. A few months back, I listed out my top 50 favorite attractions. While I've been on a lot of great attractions from around the world, there's equally, if not more, that I have not been on that I have yet to ride. Most people when visiting theme parks rank their favorite roller coasters. While just like my previous list, roller coasters make up a large portion of my favorite attractions, dark rides and other unique attractions also catch my eye. Today we're going over rankings 50 through 26. I wanted to include this many attractions simply because there are just a lot of amazing looking rides that I want to visit around the world. And narrowing down a top 25 or something similar would have just been a disservice to the many amazing theme and amusement park attractions out there. Now, let's get started with the rankings. Starting off the list, we head to the United Arab Emirates for the fastest roller coaster in the world, Formula Rossa. Accelerating to an insane 149 miles an hour in 4.9 seconds, Formula Rossa blasts past the previous speed record by an insane 21 miles an hour. While most record holders of the speed record in the past also take the height record, Formula Rossa hits magnetic brakes right as it climbs up to its maximum height of 170 feet. The roller coaster then keeps its speed, blasting through high-speed turns until it returns back to the station. This roller coaster is so fast that riders in the front row are required to wear safety goggles to protect their eyes from the desert sands. While the layout of Formula Rossa leaves much to be desired in some cases, that initial launch to 149 miles an hour is a must-do for myself, and I just need to know what that kind of speed feels like out in the open. Number 49 uses the same hydraulic launch system that Formula Rossa uses to get to insane speeds, Storm Runner at Hershey Park. While not hitting the same insane speeds as the top dog, Storm Runner still hits a respectable 75 miles an hour in 2 seconds. While most hydraulic launch coasters focus on the launch and then sending the train up as high as possible, Storm Runner breaks the norm on these types of roller coasters with a layout focusing on inversions and unique elements after hitting its maximum height of 150 feet. While Storm Runner is a short ride time-wise, this coaster along with a few others located at Hershey Park are what keep this park high on the list of parks I'm eager to visit in the future. Keeping with the run of launch coasters, we visit the tallest roller coaster on the planet, Kingda Ka. While almost identical to Cedar Point's Top Thrill Dragster, with Kingda Ka being just a slightly taller and faster ride. Launching at 128 miles an hour and soaring to 456 feet is something I would love to experience. Since Top Thrill Dragster has been retired and the fate of the coaster being uncertain at this time of this video, Kingda Ka sits in a league of its own. While Kingda Ka is a case of a one-trick pony, just like Top Thrill Dragster, it should be one hell of a trick and make this ride feel like one of a kind. Silver Dollar City is a beautiful looking theme park in the middle of the Ozark Mountains of Missouri. While this theme park has some incredible looking roller coasters, this park is also home to an incredibly unique attraction. Under the park is a massive cave system where guests are able to take an hour-and-a-half long guided tour through the marble caves. While an extra cost on top of your park ticket, at only $10 for adults, this tour is well worth it to see the unique and amazing looking attraction just underneath some of the best looking roller coasters in the United States. On this tour, you will climb down into the massive rooms. The largest of these rooms is called the Cathedral Room. It's massive enough that in 1963 and 1994, hot air balloons were flown inside this cavern. While most people come to Silver Dollar City for their amazing looking roller coasters, I am equally as excited to experience something as unique as the marble caves. Drop towers have always been one of the few attractions that intimidate me. Even riding monster roller coasters like Fury 325 and Top Thrill Dragster, while incredibly thrilling, never gave me the fear that a lot of people feel on these roller coasters. Drop towers are a different story, however. Riding massive drop towers, such as the not so cleverly named Drop Tower at Kings Island, soaring a massive 315 feet really gets my heart pumping. However, just as massive a tower exists at Busch Gardens Tampa, with one more jaw-dropping trick up its sleeve. Falcon's Fury is impressive on its own at 335 feet in height. This is a drop tower that would scare almost anyone out there. However, this tower will then position its riders in a skydiving-like position at the top, and then you drop to the ground while sit in that position until you hit the brakes. The adrenaline rush of this experience must be one that is just impossible to beat. This is one of the many attractions at Busch Gardens Tampa that make me incredibly excited to return to this park for the first time in 10 years this upcoming April. Number 45 brings us back to Hershey Park for one of the most polarizing roller coasters out there, Skyrush. With incredibly unique trains with the outside seats hanging on the side of the track, this amazing looking twister layout filled with tons of ejector airtime looks like it would be a slam dunk of a roller coaster. So why is it so polarizing? The big make or break moment for anyone is that Skyrush has some of the worst restraints out there. For some people, these restraints will crush your thighs into oblivion during the ride's many insane airtime moments. For others, however, these restraints do not affect them whatsoever, and as a result, this is typically one of the highest rated roller coasters they've ever ridden. So where will it land for me? The reality is, you don't really know how these restraints will affect you until you climb onto the ride. If this roller coaster does live up to the hype and keep my thighs from being bruised, I could imagine this rising all the way up to my top 15 favorite attractions. However, we'll have to wait and see if I fall into the love or hate camp for Skyrush. The first dark ride on the list is one of the newest. Universal owns the rights to Nintendo in its theme parks and is expanding its resorts with multiple lands either opened up or opening around the world very soon. The flagship attraction to this impressive looking land is Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. While on the surface this attraction looks fun, but feels a little too slow to embrace the speed of Mario Kart, the augmented reality goggles provided by the attraction is what makes this a really impressive looking ride. Adding to the already incredibly impressive set pieces with the addition of what you are expecting to find in Mario Kart racetracks in the virtual world, nailing the feeling of a race starting to racing down Rainbow Road, this incredible looking attraction looks to take it up a notch for Universal for their brand new incredible looking lands. Carowinds was my home park for years when I used to live in South Carolina. I watched this park evolve from a forgettable but fun local amusement park to one of Cedar Fair's flagship parks. In the 2010s, we saw amazing additions to the park with Intimidator and Fury 325, some of my all-time favorite roller coasters. I have not been back to their park for the most recent addition, Copperhead Strike. This mock multi-launch roller coaster filled the park's biggest gap of needing a launch roller coaster. Cedar Fair added some theming to this attraction as well, really giving Copperhead Strike even more charm. Starting off with an inversion right out of the station, the JoJo roll really sets up the tone of letting the riders know how they're going to be feeling plenty of hang time on this ride. Filled with 2 launches, pops of ejector airtime, and some really fun looking inversions, this roller coaster looks like it'd be a perfect addition to an already amazing amusement park. Over the years, I've ridden many different models of roller coasters. However, one that I have not had the chance to ride yet is B&M's flying roller coaster model. This will change this spring as I head down to SeaWorld Orlando for the first time to ride number 42 on my list, Manta. While they're more intense looking roller coasters such as Tatsu at Six Flags Magic Mountain, Manta has incredible looking theming around the roller coaster. The layout of Manta looks to be such a fun experience as you simulate flying, or swimming as the theme would imply. Combined with the theming and incredibly fun looking layout, this roller coaster looks just to be such an amazing fun time, even if it's not super intense. While the last few additions on this list have been very thrilling attractions, we get to the first attraction from Disney on my bucket list. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is found in Disney parks around the world, with one resort missing an attraction like it. For Hong Kong Disneyland, instead of bringing in another fun but nearly identical version of the wildest ride in the wilderness, Walt Disney Imagineers took a different approach when coming up with Big Grizzly Mountain Runaway Railway. While big thrilling roller coasters are always something anyone who loves visiting theme and amusement parks looks forward to, these incredibly themed medium-level thrill rides always make it high on my list. Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom ranks in my top 10 favorite roller coasters, despite me having ridden some of the tallest and fastest roller coasters on Earth. Why? I love a roller coaster that has incredible theming and can tell a story. Adding an amazing theme and surrounding it fully is just as good as climbing 300 feet into the sky in my eyes. Big Grizzly Mountain Runaway Railway is what you get when you combine Big Thunder Mountain Railroad and Expedition Everest. Filled with tons of low-to-the-ground turns and its twisty layout. This attraction really subverts expectations with a lift hill fake-out where it simulates the chain braking and sending the train backwards, flying backwards until you come to a stop, which then brings you to an explosive high-speed launch finale. This attraction really does look to be one of the most creative and fun-looking fully themed roller coasters out there, and I cannot wait to ride it once I finally do start traveling to Asia. Heading down to Tampa to another incredible looking B&M roller coaster is Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. B&M inverts have always been some of the best rides out of an amusement park, and Montu looks to be one of the best out there. While Montu does have some theming, the star of this attraction is just how intense this invert looks. Filled with 7 inversions that all look to add tons of positive G's, Montu looks to have plenty of potential for beating out my current favorite B&M invert, Banshee at Kings Island. There are other B&M inverts higher on this list, so we'll have to wait and see which ones outrank Banshee once I have the chance to ride them all. Combined with the theming in the low-lying areas of the roller coaster and the incredible looking layout, Montu looks to be a standout from the other amazing looking roller coasters in Central Florida. Heading back to SeaWorld Orlando for another amazing looking B&M roller coaster for number 39 is Mako. Mako is a very highly praised B&M hypercoaster, just barely making the 200-foot mark. While I've been on taller hypercoasters than Mako, this one seems to have something special about it. Just like Manta, Mako has some amazing looking theming in the station and the queue that adds to the atmosphere of the roller coaster. While not as well integrated in theming as Manta is, this layout looks fantastic, filled with tons of floater airtime. Mako has a unique layout set over the lake for most of the airtime-filled portions of the roller coaster. Then enters the Twister-style finale, passing over the park's central lake before hitting the final brake run. Will Mako become my all-time favorite B&M hypercoaster like many others? We'll have to wait and see, but this roller coaster does look to be outstanding nonetheless. We head back to the US for one of the newest attractions on this list. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is home to many amazing looking roller coasters and attractions. Their newest addition, Pantheon, is one of the most impressive looking roller coasters when you look at it in the engineering aspect. Intamin has made multi-launch coasters for well over a decade now. However, Pantheon does something impressive in its second launch. You hit this rolling hill launch, accelerate towards the top hat in front of you, and then you start rolling backwards. While you were accelerating, a switch track quickly moved in behind you to allow the train to roll backwards, hitting the launch again and heading towards a massive spike. Once gravity takes over, you head towards the launch track for a third and final time, where you reach your top speed while hitting some moments of ejector airtime during the launch. This is the section I alluded to when I was impressed with the engineering on this coaster. To be able to engineer a switch track reliably enough to add this is truly impressive. Once you crest over the top hat, you head down a 95-degree drop and into the finale of the roller coaster. Filled with overbaked turns and a stall, this ride looks to be one of the most impressive looking roller coasters out there. You will start to notice a theme that with this list that highly themed dark rides and roller coasters will be higher ranked than many other speed machines. Disney and Universal excel at this. Tron Lightcycle Run is exactly the type of roller coaster where the theming around it propels it very high on the list. You'll be able to enter the grid at Shanghai Disneyland and just opened up at the Magic Kingdom. Once you board your unique light cycle, you begin with a launch that heads outdoors and then quickly dives deep into the grid where the theming is truly next level. Daft Punk's incredible soundtrack from Tron Legacy really adds to the amazing theme. Once you enter the show building, lights and effects around you make you feel like you are truly inside Tron Legacy. While this layout is nothing special, I still really look forward to riding this roller coaster as I've heard such amazing reviews. I cannot wait to hop into this amazing looking attraction whenever I make it to either Magic Kingdom or Shanghai next. B&M has made some of my favorite roller coasters I've ridden so far. They have a very wide range of different models to make their roller coasters feel different from others. However, there is one model that I can say easily is my favorite, and that is their hypercoaster model. What many consider to be their best is their tallest hypercoaster, Shambhala at Portaventura in Spain. Standing at 249 feet in height and hitting 83 miles an hour, this roller coaster seems to use its incredible size to its advantage. Shambhala is also filled with massive camelback airtime hills to give you loads of amazing looking floater airtime. The second half steers away from the massive airtime hills and focuses more on its twister finale with pops of airtime sprinkled in. The size and scale of this hypercoaster truly does have me hoping once I am living in Germany to make a quick stop to Portaventura whenever we inevitably go to Spain. Japan is filled with some incredible looking attractions. One of Japan's premier amusement parks is Fuji-Q Highland, located in the shadows of Mount Fuji. There are several attractions from this park that we'll be talking about on this list, but the first is the former fastest roller coaster in the world when it opened up, Dodonpa. While most roller coasters use magnetic or hydraulic launches to launch their train, Dodonpa is one of the few using the extremely powerful air compression launch system. Topping off at an insane 111.9 miles per hour, Dodonpa may not have the speed record anymore, but is still one of the top 5 fastest roller coasters on the planet. One record Dodonpa still has is the world's fastest accelerating roller coaster, which sounds like a very obscure record. However, once you realize what that truly means, it is why Dodonpa ranks so high on my bucket list attractions. Accelerating from 0 to 111.9 miles per hour in an insane 1.6 seconds, Dodonpa is said to have the most intense launch in the world. Faster roller coasters like Kingda Ka can't hold a candle to this acceleration, reaching 128 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds. This reason alone is why I would love to ride Dodonpa even though it's just a one-trick pony. However, like I said about Top Thrill Dragster, it's one hell of a trick. Six Flags parks have not always been the most creative when it comes to branding their attractions. I have lost count on the number of roller coasters named Goliath or something after Superman. While these attractions may share the same name, most of the time they are very different from each other. Superman the Ride in a small Six Flags park in Massachusetts does truly stand out compared to the other attractions of the same name. This Intamin mega coaster is known for having one of the best layouts of any roller coaster ever built. Starting off with a gorgeous rise up its 208-foot tall lift hill along the Connecticut River, diving down into a tunnel and then hitting airtime hill after airtime hill. Like many great hypercoasters, the first half will focus on airtime while the second half attempts to make as many turns as possible, along with adding in some pops of airtime along its twister layout. This roller coaster looks to focus on keeping its speed up along its over a mile of track. Superman has shared the top 2 spots in the Golden Ticket Awards between this and Millennium Force every year between 2001 and 2015. I have to imagine any roller coaster this highly regarded has to be worth a trip up to Six Flags New England alone. One thing I love almost as much as an incredibly well-themed roller coaster is one that takes advantage of the terrain. Heading back to Silver Dollar City, this theme park has several roller coasters that use the park's terrain to its advantage. Outlaw Run is another amazing looking RMC roller coaster set in the woods of the Ozark Mountains. With an incredible looking 81-degree first drop, taking high-speed turns through its massive trees while flipping through multiple inversions along the way. Like most RMC roller coasters, Outlaw Run is filled with tons of ejector airtime. The layout takes advantage of the rolling hills dashing between the trees along the hillside, ending with an incredible looking double barrel roll finale. Outlaw Run is considered one of the best night rides on any roller coaster. I can only imagine how incredible of a night ride Outlaw Run is, diving in and out of the woods in the pitch black. Silver Dollar City may not have a huge number of roller coasters, but the ones it does have seem to have incredible quality, along with other amazing attractions that make me want to book a trip out to Missouri. Heading back to Europe is another amazing looking roller coaster from Rocky Mountain Construction, Untamed at Walibi Holland. While focusing mainly on an amazing layout, Untamed does have some really fun looking theming in the station and queue. Themed to an overgrown plot of land with a roller coaster replaced stretching over the queue, adding to the overall ambiance. Starting right off the bat with a bizarre outer bake turnaround, you know this is going to be a wild ride. Focusing on inversions and out of your seat ejector airtime, Untamed looks to live up to the name and deliver an incredibly intense ride. The pacing of Untamed seems to be relentless, with it flying through its course, hitting airtime moment after airtime moment, one right after the other. With an amazing finale flying through its own structure, and an intense looking barrel roll to finish off the ride, the pacing of this roller coaster looks to be unmatched. Inverting its riders 5 times through its layout and taking its airtime hills at extreme speeds, Untamed looks to be the complete package. Next we head to my soon-to-be home of Germany for Exhibition GeForce at Holiday Park. Holiday Park is a small park in western Germany where you would not expect to find one of the best roller coasters in the world. Ranking in the top 10 every year since it opened in 2001, this is such a strange roller coaster having a park that only has 2 others. Expedition GeForce is pretty light on the theming compared to the rest of the park. However, the setting in the German woods is what makes this roller coaster look incredible. Filled with tons of speed, reaching 75 miles an hour, and taking its many airtime hills at full speed, this ride looks to be packed with tons of amazing looking airtime. While this layout focuses heavily on the airtime hills, it also does try to take as many turns as possible at high speeds. Surrounded by thick layers of trees, you truly feel the speed Expedition GeForce keeps up through its entire layout. With us moving to Munich later this year, I'm sure it won't be too long before I ride this world-renowned roller coaster. As I previously stated, I love any roller coaster that takes advantage of its terrain. One roller coaster that does this masterfully is Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. Starting off with a pretty standard first drop, everything after it is anything but standard. The second hill rises up, and then you plunge down into an even larger second drop, dropping 228 feet down the hill below. Hitting 85 miles an hour, the positive G's increase as you pull out of the tight ravine where you head full speed into the second half of the roller coaster filled with tons of ejector airtime hills. Keeping up its speed, the train rockets through the rest of the track, blasting through its pops of airtime hills, delivering tons of ejector. Taking advantage of its terrain once again, Phantom's Revenge twists and turns at high speeds heading from one airtime hill to the next. While a shorter ride, this roller coaster looks to be an absolute blast filled with high speeds and tons of fun airtime. I've always had a soft spot for wooden roller coasters. While not as capable as their steel counterparts, there's something special about how these feel and ride. In 2005, a brand new manufacturer of the Gravity Group came out swinging with one of the most impressive wooden roller coasters ever built. Known as Hades when it opened, this small Wisconsin theme park allowed the Gravity Group to come in to do something that's truly one of a kind. It proved again in 2013 when the Gravity Group came back to add an inversion to the layout. This unique wooden roller coaster has been on most people's bucket list ever since. The inversion is not the only unique aspect of this roller coaster. Starting off the pre-lift section with pops of airtime, you know that if a roller coaster is this exciting before you even get to the top of the lift hill, this is going to be one special ride. Once you crest the top of the lift hill, you see the first drop heads directly into a pitch black tunnel. Located under the parking lot, this tunnel section looks to be one of the most unique moments on any roller coaster. If traveling in the dark at 35 miles an hour in Space Mountain feels fast, I can only imagine how fast traveling 60 miles an hour would feel like in the pitch black. Once you exit the tunnel, you then head into the massive inversion. Do a quick turnaround and then head back into the tunnel. While I have no idea when I'll ever make it up to Wisconsin anytime soon, I know if I am, I have to take a ride on this amazing looking wooden roller coaster. For number 28, we head to Epcot for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. This is an attraction that was kind of difficult to place on this list, mainly because I don't know a ton about it and the ride's POV video is difficult to tell exactly what's going on. However, I heard nothing but praise for this attraction as being one of the best at Walt Disney World. Honestly, this has not come to much of a surprise, as over at California Adventure, Mission Breakout is an insanely fun attraction thanks to the Guardians of the Galaxy theme. Plus, making this a launch spinning coaster with incredible looking theming and over a mile of track, I wouldn't be surprised that when I do hopefully get the chance to ride this in the next few days, that it ranks very high on my list of favorite attractions. Number 27 brings us over to the United Kingdom and one of my most anticipated roller coasters in Europe, Nemesis at Alton Towers. Alton Towers is in a unique situation where they're not allowed to build above the park's tree line. So if you want to build a full-scale B&M invert, what do? Well, if you're Alton Towers, you literally blast rock to make your roller coaster hug the terrain and dive in and out of trenches. Filled with tons of amazing looking theming and hugging the terrain, this roller coaster is one of the most unique attractions in the world. Nemesis is currently being retracked with making improvements to the theme along with replacing almost all the original track. While the layout will be exactly the same, it is rumored that the paint will be different along with slight changes to the theming. We won't truly know what is different until it opens back up in 2024. With the creativity that Alton Towers and B&M came up with, this coaster, along with many others, makes Alton Towers one of my most anticipated theme parks in the world. Finishing off part 1 of my list, we head to the northeast to a small park in Connecticut. Boulder Dash at Lake Compounce in Bristol, Connecticut is probably the best example of a roller coaster using the park's terrain to shape the layout. Literally located on a hill, Boulder Dash looks like a coaster you would only find on a place like Roller Coaster Tycoon or in Planet Coaster. Weaving in between the trees and alongside the boulder cliffs that the ride gets its name from, Boulder Dash probably has one of the most unique layouts in the world. Along with weaving in and out of the trees and the terrain, Boulder Dash is filled with tons of airtime hills for its entire ride. I am truly in awe that a world-class roller coaster like this exists, especially in a tiny amusement park in Connecticut. I have to imagine that this has to be one of the best night rides in the world, thanks to the coaster's incredible setting. Lake Compounce really does have something special, and while I'm not sure if I'll ever make it to this small park, I do truly hope to do so one day, even if it's only to ride this one roller coaster. That's a wrap on part 1 of my most anticipated attractions in the world. Next week I'll be going over my top 25 most anticipated attractions, so make sure you subscribe to see what I consider some of the best attractions are in the world. At least the ones I haven't been on yet.